Good morning, everybody. I decided just to record this one without StreamYards, so I didn't have to deal with any kind of a chat or anything. We're going to talk about the left classifying conservatives as extremists. How they're doing it and why they are doing it. So, yeah. So, this all started. There was a clear distinction of change the day that Biden came in. The ridiculous amount of people, of military that he brought in. I mean, people from Alaska, from everywhere. Way overkill on the number of military personnel. But let's talk about, regardless, put that aside for a second. Let's talk about what Biden did before he allowed those military personnel to even step foot. Because God only knows, white man might be an extremist. And you need to pledge your allegiance, basically, to the Democratic Party for the first time in life. This has happened in our government now. Instead of the country. Each person, the white man especially, were basically interrogated. And if they disagreed with Biden's way of thinking, they weren't allowed to come. Yes, you heard me right, folks. He's working to keep the systemic racism. Is another way he's doing this. So when they talk about extremists. Yeah, right. They're talking about you and me. Because we're conservative. Now, this has been denied in other countries. And then it's happened in other countries. You'll take the party that won, and they take over the military. And then the military has to take on the ideology of its ruler. And we're here in America. And we must stand up against this. This whole video are my thoughts, opinions. It is my political views. On what I've been researching. So now they kind of, put up a protective border around themselves against us, against America, by doing this. And the left are crossing the line by doing this. But why? Because they can't understand why we don't agree with them. It's that simple. They think all conservatives are radical. And I'm not talking about terrorists. I'm talking about you and me. That's how bad this is. They won't hesitate. I don't know if it's they think we're stupid and we're not educated on the issues. I truly believe that's what many of them think. But in reality, we are educated on the issues, very much so, and just have a difference of opinion. I mean, I watch liberal news just for that reason. So, for that very reason, it has to be turned into a negative. What's all the key words that are getting thrown out? Extremist, fake riots, radicals. Simply because we disagree on what they think is right and they can't comprehend that we understand all of the issues and still disagree. And in some way, we must conform or we're a danger. Now, when in America has that happened between the parties? Never. The military has always been used for the United States of America. You have a commander chief in charge over the military for his safety and our safety, not to do his bidding. What was it during inauguration or whatever? Shoot to kill? Even foreign authorities came in for this. They were all told about the Proud Boys, and that was it. They know we're not going to go along with this. So, therefore, it has to be some kind of conspiracy. Right? No. It happened when the Patriot Act happened. Is when it first started, when we the people were getting surveyed. So much surveillance was put on us. And then we freely gave it away with that. Now Biden wants to make sure all of our military white men are an extremist. When in reality, you hear all of us conservatives, and the other agenda is to say conservatives are racist. That way it makes you feel guilty to argue it. That you're not. It makes you feel guilty. It's a maneuver. It's a play, folks. I can tell you right now in our county, the female officer ran over a man who was shot in the arm. That man was black. She doesn't look completely white, but if that would have been a white man, yeah, she should get charged. I believe she should. I know she was looking at numbers, but if that would have been a white man, but then, look back to what was a fort. Can't even think of the name right now. The jihad yelling out and killing so many people. Just hush up. It happened. Moved on. It was a one-man thing. It was only one man. Just one Muslim. But if one so-called conservative, so-called patriot, does one thing bad, then we're all going to get labeled again as extremists. Now, folks, this is all over the news if you hadn't seen it already. So don't fall for it. And the worst thing you could do is not speak out against it. Our National Guard, when Biden called in our National Guard, even 80% disagreed with him. And now, little things, like I've got a video that's absolutely disgusting to me, where a female, that's the other thing. It's all these Democrats that are all such goody two-shoes. Well, right here, I've got a female Democrat or a female Republican trying to talk to amend a bill that Governor Mike DeWine in Ohio passed. And she's doing it to protect female sports so that transgenders aren't allowed to play in female sports, which I agree with because of the absolute anatomical, physiological, muscular, skeletal differences between a male and a female. But what did she get? Pounding and screeching and yelling and screaming from these Democrats acting like babies. It was so disrespectful. I'll be putting a clip of the vid up and putting the full link in the description box. Here we have a Democratic senator. Well, he got charges for federal wire fraud while he was trying to change the election. That's a big deal, isn't it? And guess what happens on every single video that I've checked through? If it's a Republican, they mention it's a Republican. If it's a Democrat, you have to go to the description box. Otherwise, they'll just say a state senator throughout the whole audio. You have to go to the description box to see if it's a Democrat. Mind games. Oh, here's another one. Mississippi Democrat mayor and his wife. This was just on February the 21st. When was the last one? February 21st. Mississippi Democrat Mayor Mario King and his wife. Wiretap. Democrat Senator State Mayor. Senator State Katrina, charged in criminal complaint for theft. Excuse me, I don't know why I said mayor. That was July 31st, 2020. And I just looked up for federal charges. I didn't look up for extremist charges or anything like that. February 18th, 2020, Massachusetts Democratic State Representative arrested, facing federal charges, which they did follow through with. And again, it was wiretapping fraud. All of them that I found was wiretapping fraud, playing in to the voting system. You want to go inside the America's Far Left? You can listen to the link about Antifa and why they're not holding up signs anymore. Instead, they're holding up all kinds of, they're ready to beat down. Go to Vice Impact for that and type in Inside America's Far Left. And look at all those white men in there, and them white boys. You know what? The left are systematically racist. because they see the color, and majority of the right do not. The majority of the right is usually just a common person who may or may not have some liberal views. A majority of them actually have one or two liberal views, like they might be for guns, but they might be against abortion, or they might be for militarization, but and they're liberal because liberals aren't for strength and militarization. Well, until this big change in our history, where it seems like our military is serving a party instead of a country. What's this one here? FBI charges Democratic mayor after first wave of arrests for corruption. Investigation into Ohio. A major public corruption probe. Federal fraud charges. And again, this just comes months after the feds arrested 4 more Democrats in the same area in Ohio. And it's naming the names, and I'm not saying them. This is the first wave of arrests of indictments that were first unsealed in April. Interesting, isn't it? Anyone can paint a picture of just one side. If I want to sit up here all day and look for bad conservative people or bad far right extremists, I could show them all day long. The flip side of that, I could sit here just as easily and actually probably take a longer time with all the city destruction, deaths of people, barrages of people hurt during all the Black Lives Matters and Antifa protests. Hell, you could take over a city. Take over a block, name it, and that mayor's gonna fight for you. I don't think Biden would allow that to happen. I think he'd forcibly use the military to go in there. Let's face it. During inauguration, it was a force of power. It was a show of a force of power. All the way from one end to the other. We are the Democrats, and we are in the White House, and we are in control now. And we're going to prosecute you if you aren't with us. We're going to prosecute you in any which way we can. We're going to attack you for anything that we can. It doesn't matter if it's true or false. We're going to use the media. We're going to use our psychological games that we've always been using. We're going to keep up with the same crime and corruption and keep our far left extremists free on the streets to destroy. We have to fight this. You and I are regular people. We have a right for our freedom of thought. This is the first time in history a party is trying to own the military, tell it how to think, and that it has to be for the party instead of for the country. I speak with passion. Because whether you believe in the left or right paradigm of things, this matters. So I hope you left, then are extremists, truly think about all your censorship that you want. All the fake that you use, the one or two examples, or just the Proud Boys that you can use, or the few Nazis that show up, compared to the hordes of people that freely were allowed to hurt others, destroy others, kill others, and get away with it during their so-called right, their lives matter. They will continue to make it about race until we stop allowing them to use that bait on their hook. You know you're not a racist. I know I'm not a racist. Don't make them make you own it. You know you're not an extremist. I know I'm not an extremist. Don't make them make you own it. They can't. You have freedom of thought. They can't take God away from you if you're a believer. They can't take your free thinking unless you allow it through their manipulation. So see it, people. See it, please. Take care and God bless.